This is episode number 223 of the Homeowners Show. Well, whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowners Show. We're so glad that you could join us for another live episode here in the Homeowners Show studios. How you doing, Kev?
And I'm doing fine. Nothing major. I mean, we just got back from Thanksgiving, which was amazing.
Yes.
And awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love hanging out with my family and doing the whole Thanksgiving thing that we do, which is
the turkey jig.
It's unique what we do for Thanksgiving. We all meet up at a lake house. It's more of a lake cabin than anything else for a week with like 40 of our closest family members. And then more people show up on Thursday, and it's a blast, dude. So much fun.
Yeah, and like everyone's in campers, right? Pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, so there were fewer campers than there normally are, but yeah, we've got an array of campers set up. We're actually going to be building some more camper sites soon, but some people stay in the house. And but dude, I forgot to tell you this.
Okay.
So we used to smoke all of our meat on an old refrigerator.
Right. I remember you saw the picture of it.
Yeah. Well, that has run its course. It's
the swamp
smoked,
ate it.
Yeah, it's smoked all it's going to smoke, and it's been flooded more than once. So one of our family members bought a 55-gallon drum.
Okay.
That was used to store pigskin fat, and so it was like cooking purposes
for sure.
And they were selling them for $5 a piece.
$5 a piece.
And he had to buy 5 of them in order. So he bought 5 of them, $25, and we built a smoker out of it.
Uh-huh.
And have you seen these barrel smokers before?
Oh, yeah.
Where you hang meat from them? So we didn't hang anything this time because we couldn't find any hangers in time. But he rigged it all up, put a couple of racks in there, and dude, it worked really, really well.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
I'm actually thinking about getting one of these chest smokers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's just like the freestanding pellet or propane, however you want to go about it.
And I'm
set it and forget it smoker.
I'm all in. Like these purists out there are crazy.
Yep.
Because these pellet smokers. Here's the problem with smoking, which we do often.
Mm-hmm.
But like the problem with it is you got to get up at like whatever time and check the temperature and make sure it's working. And then if it's not, you're going to have to adjust it. And you might be up 2 or 3 times for an hour at a time getting everything working.
Yep.
With these pellet smokers, man, you just dump a load of pellets in, go to bed, wake up the next morning, and everything is perfect. You have brisket by lunch.
Yeah, so really
Perfect.
What we're saying is our problem with traditional smoking is that it's actually work.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, at the end of the day, the result is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
More than the process. The purists, they love the process, which I'm fine with the process if I have time for the process.
Right.
But I really don't like disrupting my sleep patterns just for the process to happen.
Me either.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
So, dude, we played a massive game of pickup sticks at the Williams Ranch yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I saw the stick pile.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we took the ATV around and we kind of made a game of it. We had so many downed limbs from the storm and just, trees that had died.
Yep.
Everything. So we just went around and picked them all up. We have a massive pile of firewood now.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to go through that. It'll be fun, though.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, s'mores, hot dogs.
Yeah, and like with it was me and the 3 kids. I mean, it took us maybe hour and a half to get all that.
If you saw the pile, like the pile,
I mean, it's almost 6 feet tall.
Oh, it's taller than I am. we'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't have a whole lot to do tonight. We have a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, we do.
And so we're going to take it a little bit easy. We're going to talk about the live events, and we got a couple of news stories we wanted to tap into here. So real quick, we've got 2 live events coming up.
Yeah.
One on December 1st, which is actually this Thursday. We're going to be at I'm going to be at Rowdy's Dance Hall with a special guest host that we're not announcing yet because we're going to,
it's a mystery.
That's right. We want to, encourage you to come and see who that's going to be.
Yeah,
but
if you're in the Houston area, you
Uh-huh.
might as well show up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, there's going to be
So-
hundreds of owner operators in the homeowner realm, and so it's going to be a great event. We used to do a bunch of these 2 years ago, pre-pandemic kind of stuff, and so that's starting to come back, which is really really fun.
Yeah.
And so then we have another live show December 14th. I don't know why. I mean, like all of a sudden we got a lot of live shows coming up in December. And
Yeah.
it seems like springtime would be more of our time in the sun, but
You'd think.
I'll take my time in the overcast shadows of Houston.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be a little chilly and I like being inside.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we got those 2 live events coming up. We'll keep you guys posted and post on social media about those as they're coming up because they're going to be a lot of fun.
Sure.
And so we're actually going to be broadcasting live from both of those. We're going to have some special guests, and like I mentioned before, on the one on the first this Thursday, we're going to have a special guest host.
Okay.
So that'll
and
be
the other one's on the 14th, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say that? And I just
I
missed
think
it?
I did, but if
Okay.
not, it's worth repeating.
There you go.
So
First and 14th.
that's right. And so that's really about it.
But yeah, we got to probably at this point, I think it's safe to say our most frequent guest is coming back.
Oh yeah.
She
Next
hadn't
week.
been on. She hadn't been on in a long time.
I mean, but I don't know how the timeline's going to work out. We'll go live with her, but the audio probably won't come out for like 3 or 4 weeks,
Right.
depending on what all happens. So we just never know with the live events if we break those up into multiple shows. That actually might be something we'd like to hear from everybody. Would you guys prefer it when we do a live event, when we come back with the podcast? Would you like us? Do you want like one long audio segment, or would you like us to break it up into smaller chunks? Because typically those live events go a little bit longer than shows in the studio.
Yeah, but they're good small because we'll get different guests. And so so Christy's coming back, and what's interesting about her is we haven't had her on since she opened up her new business.
Right. Which
So-
I've been paying attention to that. She's got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, she does.
So
Yeah, if I was building a house right now, you better believe
right,
I'd be in her showroom
for sure.
checking some things out.
So and if you followed the episode, I think it was it 2 episodes ago with Tanya, she's officially announced the name of her podcast. So you can follow her on social media, and that podcast is going to be launching January 1st.
Okay.
So, and then you're still guesting on another podcast.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that, have we?
We have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you've talked about it.
Yeah, so WDW for Families, which is Walt Disney World podcast directed toward families, and just the whole idea of, hey, how as a family, how do you go to Disney and enjoy it? And it's a family-friendly podcast. There are a lot of Disney podcasts out there. They talk about politics, and they talk about this, that, and the other. We try to have fun with it. It's been, this podcast has been around for 10 years and or over 10 years now. But they've had some hiatuses here and there. And anyway, I've been asked to come be part of that podcast, and you may even be on it from time to time.
It's a possibility.
So I don't know. It's a pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
there's a show I'm going to be on next week. Man, I cannot remember the name of it.
It's really super interesting, y'all. It's going to be a great one.
It's a business podcast.
Sure.
And so I'm supposed to go on there, and I don't even know what all he's going to ask me about, but I'm just when I'm on it, I'll post it, and we'll reveal the name of the podcast then. So
it's all also a mystery.
Yeah. So we have other podcasts reaching out and like wanting us to either bring their guys on or us go on there. So that's always fun.
Sure.
But I'm gonna sort through a couple of news stories that I thought were interesting. I always like to bring some relevant news to the homeowner. And
I haven't heard these yet.
yeah, Kevin doesn't. Kevin does. I do this research 5 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
No, really. Like I try and keep an eye on this kind of stuff because I find it interesting. And I think I mentioned. I'll talk about that in a minute because this one actually interested me because it was just posted 5 hours ago. And it's talking about how residents of Cape Cod may be forced to replace all of their septic systems.
What?
Under some new state regulations. And apparently it has to do with nitrogen pollution. Like apparently the existing systems are creating a nitrogen problem.
So I assume that the The existing systems have been around for a while, so they're probably regular leach line or whatever.
Yep.
Nothing.
And it's getting into the public water systems, like into the bays and the estuaries, and so like
it's disgusting.
It's polluting it with nitrogen, which that's not usually the thing that you hear about.
No,
in water. So anyway, excuse me.
Look. If that's happening, that needs to happen.
Well, the problem is, it's okay. So what this story is saying is that it's gonna cost people it's gonna cost people roughly $30,000.
Well, that's not surprising
to upgrade
if you go from a traditional septic system to the newer style that has the spray heads and all that kind of stuff. Just installing, and we just installed one, and it was a smaller system.
Well, let me say this, because I know you're talking about installing one. It's going to cost $30,000 just to put a nitrogen filtration system.
So they're not gonna uproot them and do new ones.
That's just putting the nitrogen filtration system in place.
Okay, so
that's in addition to probably having to replace their septic systems that's being forced on them by the state because of the nitrogen pollution.
So where is the nitrogen filter going in? Is that going on like the individual systems or like at the end of it somewhere?
In the individual systems.
Oh, dude. So you're being forced to
they're saying
upgrade to the, what is it called? You've got the
nitrogen filtration system?
No. The two different kinds of septic systems. I just lost them.
Aerobic and anaerobic.
Aerobic and anaerobic. So you're going to an aerobic system from an anaerobic system. And so that in and of itself is probably going to cost you at least $10,000 to just put in a new one, let alone uprooting the other one. So that's probably another $3,000. So you're probably $15,000 in plus $30,000 for a filtration system. Look, if you live in Cape Cod, you can probably afford it.
Here's the other thing: is it saying to convert all of them to municipal sewer systems, which would then be managed by the state?
Oh yeah,
that would require them putting in sewer systems for 12,000 additional properties, and it would cost an estimated $1.4 billion.
Oh, that's not surprising to me.
So,
I don't think I told you we have water at the front of our property available. To run that line back to my mother-in-law's house instead of using our existing well, just the line was going to cost $12,000.
Oh, geez.
Just to bring the water in a pipe. That's it. I mean, it's like, that's not trenching it. That's just it's unbelievable amount of money. That's just water. Imagine doing that for a whole sewer. I can't imagine and the mess that would cause. Like, just, you're tearing up streets and all kinds of stuff, man.
It's no good.
Yeah.
So this one, it will be quick and dirty. So shout out to Eric G, because this one comes from Portland.
Oh.
So I also like how they frame this story at the beginning of it. It says, help for homeowners as foreclosure rate seeing small but steady increase. Okay, and so they frame the opening volley of this story that says, with a potential recession looming, homeowners are feeling the pinch. And like anyone that pays attention to this knows that like the federal government recently tried to change the definition of a recession, because I mean essentially we've been in a recession for months,
right?
And it has to do with like GDP.
Okay,
and like so anyway. As far as I'm concerned, we're in a recession.
Yeah.
Right. And so they reference this gal on Twitter who says that the data that they're seeing shows foreclosure activity is up 57% since last October. So a year ago, basically, from a year ago, foreclosures are up 57%. That makes
sense.
Do you remember what we were talking about a year ago?
I do.
Like, with the you're not able to kick people out of their homes,
right? Yeah, it was like you couldn't get rid of them. In fact, we had that
banks couldn't kick them out.
Yeah,
landlords couldn't kick them out.
Yeah, remember?
I do.
We had a squatter, someone who sold their house and squatted in their house that someone else bought for like a year.
I know,
and they couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
So I think that's probably. And they're saying we're still not seeing like 2008 numbers, from the housing crash, but like, okay.
Well, we're probably, look, we're probably not going to see '08 numbers, but we're going to see something similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be different numbers, but it's going to be a similar effect at least.
Right. Well, and so here's the thing that's like this irritates me. So it's saying that they're putting a hiatus on the homeowners assistance programs that the federal government implemented during COVID.
Okay.
Right? And so Oregon received $90 million in that program to be distributed to people who are on hard times. It doesn't say that they're out of money.
Right.
It just says that they're putting a hiatus.
They're just stopping it.
They're stopping spending the money.
Oh.
And that's weird.
Why?
Exactly. That's a good question, Kevin. So anyway, that's one. Let's see. This is the one that really caught my attention, and this is what I was going to bring up earlier. I think, was it when we were talking to Brandon? No. When were we talked about Zillow and Redfin?
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about how they're doing all the layoffs
right.
in those departments and different things like that. Yeah. If you don't remember, go back and listen to the episode. Anyway, Zillow has a home flipping department, as does Redfin. Most people don't realize that they're actually property acquisition companies as well as listing companies. And those are divisions within those companies, and they're scaling back on those divisions rather sharply. Like it's like a 13% layoff company-wide at Zillow.
Which, I mean, look, if you have complete access to all the properties that are being sold and what they're being sold for and what people are buying them at, it seems like you having a house flipping business is a little bit of a conflict of interest. However, if it's not a conflict of interest, well done, sir.
Yeah. Well, also, like, how are you doing so poorly that you now have to lay off 13% of your employees?
Or is it you're doing so poorly, or just that is just a complete foreshadowing of what is coming?
Which was my point. Like, they obviously, they're seeing something in the data.
Right. They know something we don't.
And so this is an article out of The Guardian. Okay.
Okay.
Which is a European, but will make sense when I read the headline. UK homeowners forced to settle for below asking price, Zoopla says. Apparently Zoopla is like I don't know what that is.
Zoopla?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. And it says property website data, which I assume that's what Zoopla is, shows housing market is slowing with a 44% less demand for homes and sellers accepting 3% below asking price.
3%, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Poor old chaps.
Well, up until recently, it's not been irregular for people to be paying above asking price.
I paid a whole lot more above for my house than what it was so, asking for.
Yeah, like, and I'm like you, oh, poor them, but it's a sign of what's happening. There's a less demand, which means there's more supply, which means that those that are on the market are going to have to drop their prices if they want to move the product.
They have to.
And so it's just going, it's already happening in the UK. I think we're starting to see it here now. And, you have companies like Zillow and Redfin that are like, the writing is on the wall. Mm-hmm. Like we're going to see a price decrease.
Right.
And we're all like, and I forget which episode it was we were talking about. We're already seeing real estate agents bail.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying anything bad about real estate agents.
No.
But what I will say is we had a lot of Johnny-come-latelys jump into the market in COVID because for them it looked like easy money.
Sure. And it was.
I mean, like, people jumped in and they were able to make really, really easy money. And even seasoned real estate agents, they were making good money still, even though we had so many new agents in the market because the margins were so high.
Sure.
What they were getting, they were still getting like the same percentages, but they were just making so much more because the prices were so much higher. And now I think you see some of these people who don't know how to actually network, how to run their businesses, how to run themselves as a business, that are going, this is too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's what's...
This was so easy when I got in.
It was. So here's what's funny, and this is why I think that those of you who are listening right now, I think it's wise to listen, not necessarily to us, but people that we talk to, I'll put it that way, and learn and truly educate yourself, because here's what happened with me. we had been working on the idea of selling our house for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to figure out when's the best time to do this, when's the best time to do this. And here's the thing. The housing market was nuts when we were talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is where, people were buying houses for $100, $200, $300 over asking price. They were having 25 offers on a house within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Just ridiculous things happening. And so we could see that we were at some point we're going to have to hit a peak.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, this is not sustainable, right? The reason that the prices were so high is because the inventory was so low.
Yeah.
People were so scared to sell their house because they were like, well, what am I going to be able to get into?
Yeah.
Because I can't afford the current prices, so I'll just stay where I'm at.
Well, and part of that is builders were in a weird pinch. Like they couldn't get material, they couldn't get workers, and so we couldn't build houses.
Right.
And places that hadn't ever experienced growth before were all of a sudden experiencing exponential growth because a lot of people were leaving the cities, getting into suburban and more rural communities because everyone was able to work remotely.
Yeah. So give me a bedroom so that I can put my office in it.
Right. Yeah.
And so people were telling us whenever we sold our house, I was kind of looking at the writing on the wall going, there's going to be a peak here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew, I sold my house for way more than I should have been able to sell it for.
Right.
Compared to what I bought it for less than 5 years previous, I sold it for 50% more than I bought it for in less than 5 years, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So then people were telling me, they were like, Kevin, you're crazy. You're crazy. Why would you sell your house? I mean, what are you going to be able to afford? Like, this is a horrible time to buy a house, blah, 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 blah. And yes, did I pay more for the house that we purchased than asking? Yes, we absolutely did. Did I pay 50% more than I should have? No, I did not.
Yeah.
And now, look what's happening. What's happening now, which is just a few months after we purchased our house, the housing market has just completely flipped.
Yeah, but I also imagine you're paying a much smaller interest rate.
That's the point.
Than what other people are having to pay right now.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I got in at 4.5% interest on my house, and let me tell you, the numbers were rising whenever I got into my house. I mean, they were at like below 3, and they went up to 3.5, then to 4. I got locked in at 4.5. By the time my loan closed, it was up closer to 5, and now it's 8.5.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's high.
Okay.
So what's happened now that with those increase in interest rates, people are having to come down on their price because people can't afford it.
Right.
And so I got into this weird like vortex nexus area where, yes, I paid more for the house than asking, but my interest rate was pretty low in comparison to what they are right now, and I got more for my house than I will ever get for that house again.
Right.
Again, it will probably never. The people that bought my house, screw them. They paid way more for their house than they'll ever be able to sell it for. I think now maybe 10 years from now they would be able to do that, but they're experiencing a huge loss on it right now, and so like. I think I bought it the perfect time.
Yeah,
personally.
Just FYI, right now, I think it had been at 8 at some point in time. Right now, the 30-year fixed is sitting at 6.62.
Okay, well, that's good, actually. I mean, in comparison to what it was, it got up, like, ridiculously high.
And it also looks like if you were to... So this is something I think a lot of people don't realize, that if you are willing to pay on a shorter time scale, you can get a much lower rate sometimes. So, like right now, the 15-year fixed is like 6.02.
Yeah, it's lower.
Which is manageable.
That's normal. Yeah, it is. And so anyway, it's just one of those deals where it's like, when's the best time to buy? When's the best time to sell? Who knows, man? Like, you just do your research. And at the end of the day, if you're ready to move. And if you're not, don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's deals to be made.
Yeah. Well, right now there's really deals to be made.
There's some good.
Because you have to. Because if you're going to pay a higher percentage, I can't pay a higher mortgage rate.
Right.
So it's give or take. I got to do one or the other.
Yeah, and I think people are. Some people don't realize that because they're searching for properties and they see a price that looks like appealing, and they go to purchase it, and they're like, holy crap, I can't afford this now.
I can't qualify.
Or 2 years ago, I could have. Like, I could have afforded something almost twice this
I
much.
would hate to be a mortgage lender right now. I mean, it'd be like, look, I can't do it.
Well, I told you about the guy that we're planning on having him in. I mean, it's gonna be a minute because we've got so much going on in December. But
sure,
Corey, my real estate friend, introduced me to him. His mortgage, he's a lender.
Okay.
And he was saying they have a new program right now where if you buy a house right now, and the rates come back down significantly, they'll actually refinance your house for free.
Oh yeah, that's not surprising.
So I mean, like, they're gonna have to do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
In order to incentivize people to get into the house. It's
interesting because my mortgage lender told me even at 4.5%, she said, Kevin, the rates are going to come down. So it's not going to stay at 4.5%. They will eventually come down. She said they're going to go way past it.
Right.
But eventually they're going to come back down. We'll just refi.
Right. And you can.
Yeah.
That's no big. And but you got to think about this. Like, even if it takes, let's say it takes 8 years.
Okay.
Right. So you're 8 years into your 30-year note. Right. And so then you can refi, and this is exactly what we did. You can refi into a 15-year or a 10-year note.
Right.
At a lower interest rate.
Yep.
Now, and your payments will probably not be all that different.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened to us, man.
Sure.
Is we caught that, 2.75, whatever it was.
So low.
And so like we're on track to be done in like 8 years.
Yeah, so you probably cut what, like 5 years off your loan?
Oh no, we caught way more than all.
I mean,
that.
Even if it was 5. I mean, look, even if
we cut like 15 years off.
50. Even if you were paying $1,000 a month on a home, which you're obviously not paying that, but if it was $12,000 a year times 15, goodness gracious, you cut off a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, that's my point with all of this is you can't live your life based on fear.
Right.
Oh, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? Look, if it's right for your family, then do it. That's the thing. We moved in, and this is what we told people. It's like our kids at the time were 7 and 9.
Right.
They're now 7 and 10, almost 8 and 10. And I was like, look, if we waited another 5 years to figure out what might happen in the housing market before we bought land, they're almost done.
Yeah.
I want my family to have some space.
Yeah.
That's why we did it. And at the end of the day, choose your why.
Yeah.
And if your why is your kids or the land or the lake or the urban neighborhood or the whatever, the pool, whatever it is, do it, figure it out. And
yeah, that's true, man. I mean, I think what I hear you saying is spend your money on what you say matters.
Sure. If you have to peel back on, I don't know, a Disney vacation or a cruise or going out to eat 3 times a week or whatever it is, like peel back on something.
That's those, because many of those things are not going to be the things that your kids remember, or whatever it is that's important to you or that you value out of your life and your existence. Stop spending your time and your resources on things that like are insignificant.
Right.
And like what just like drives me absolutely bonkers is like for me, it's like TV. I can't stand people who binge watch TV. It just bugs me to no end. And like, don't get me wrong, like I like a good movie, I like a good TV show. I get into them too.
Yeah.
But you can be completely absorbed in what other people are doing rather than what you should be about.
Yeah.
And you by the time you get done consuming those things, you have nothing to show for it.
Right.
Other than like fan knowledge, which who cares? I mean, like you can take that to Comic-Con, I guess, but like, why?
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
That's it. Well, and that leads me to my next point. If homeownership is not your thing, then I don't know why you're listening to our show, first of all, but like,
thank you for listening.
But thank you for listening. But like, it may not be for everyone. I know plenty of people are like, no, I don't want to own a home.
Yeah.
I would rather just not have any maintenance and not have any questions. I want to either rent or I want to live in an apartment. Okay, great. Honestly, like there's part of me, a very, very small part of me, there's a part of me that goes, if I was like maybe just my wife and I, no kids, there's some cool things about apartment living. I mean, you've got tons of amenities depending on where you're at. Pool right there. You got a workout room. You got this maybe a nice space to walk your dog. I don't know. Like, there's some things that can be kind of cool about apartment living.
Right.
It's not for me.
Sure.
But for some people out there, I get it. I know why you live in an apartment, and I get it. But again, choose your why. Don't let other people tell you what your why is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I will tell you, we've talked about me living in an apartment. Just because one of the things that we've talked about is selling this place and buying a much bigger piece of property out of town or out of state, and me just commuting from week to week, month to month, whatever, however that works out. And the numbers work out. I mean, like, I could totally do it. I actually have an apartment at my office that I could live in, and when I'm here and I have to work. But I just really like this place, so I don't want to go. So I'm just trying to figure out another way to make that happen.
Well, just make it a part of your business and figure it out.
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, I have some ideas I'll share with you off here that I've been working on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, but that's about it.
Yeah, man. We got some cool stuff coming.
Yep.
We got a brand new year coming in just a month, and I keep coming back to, remember at the beginning we had like 15 shows that we thought we might be able to do, and here we are 223.
Yeah.
Still ramping, man.
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
I think so.
Got some in the tank.
So share this show with your friends, with your family. It's holiday season. Let people know what's going on. And thanks for downloading today's episode. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, especially on YouTube. That would be really, really helpful. Subscribe over there. And leave us a 5-star rating and review. And we're here each and every Tuesday. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.